Yeah, that's interesting, and the efficiency you bring in some of the efficiency of the startup, that mentality and philosophy to football. That sometimes when you think about football clubs, it's not really the case. You have all kind of structure, people that don't collaborate, and especially people that don't think content first, because yes, obviously the sports side is the most important thing, and we're here to play football, and we're here to win, and winning is the best strategy. So if you win, if you go to the first division, and then the next year to the pro division, that's going to be even better. In terms of business, you're going to grow. But if you have a good content strategy, you have a good story to tell. I always say that it will help you win more when you win and lose less when you lose. And you cannot rely on just winning, because then sponsors, if you stop winning, and it can happen because this is sport and you cannot always win, you're going to start losing those sponsors. So I think you're a very interesting case, or doing a unique thing about creating so much content and so much story around the actual sport that, if you allow me to say, sport is secondary. The most important thing is the stories you're telling.
Yeah, the content side is so important. Like you said, because you can have wins, you can have losses. It's football. It happens at the end of the day. But how can you still continue to win if you have a big social media, if you have people who are interested, people who are excited to watch the content? And I think that's why every entity should be focusing on content. And then obviously that's an umbrella. How deep can you get? Can you share the stories? Because that's what people care about at the end of the day. Life has the wins, has the losses. Of course, there's a big ROI in terms of performance of winning, being a championship team. But
no doubt,
control what you can there. And then on the content side, max that out, because there's so much potential.
And what's your vision for the future? Where you want to get?
So ambition is this year, I want us to get promoted. That will give us a back-to-back promotion. I want us to be in the ADNOC Pro League, which is the first tier of the UAE League, within the next 5 years. That's my vision. And I want us to compete in the Asian Champions League. So when I think of Palm City FC, if you're in Dubai or UAE, you may know some of the football clubs. But outside of the UAE, you won't know many UAE-based football clubs, unless you're a diehard football fan. Right? Al Ain was at the FIFA Club World Cup. But many of the clubs have a localized approach in terms of their marketing. I want everyone around the world, when they think of Palm City FC, that's the pro club from Dubai. That's the professional club from Dubai. And in a couple of years, we're in the top league. And we've, away from football, redefined how people consume content. And actually, one thing, if we go even deeper to a player-by-player case, one passion that got me to start this vision, which we still have to execute on. Step one for me was the operations of the club. Now I want to execute on part of this vision step by step is, can we get our athletes educated and give them the resources to start building brands around them? It's not going to be suitable for every athlete, but you see how things are drifting. So many people care about now the person, Ronaldo, Messi, opposed to the actual brand. And it's not one or the other, but bring both into it. I was playing for some teams along my journey who, people are sometimes very traditional in football. Why are you posting on social media? Why do you have videos that you're sharing? You should just be focused on football. Yes, you should be focused on football, but that's maybe 4 hours of your day, 5 hours where you have to have your training and your recovery, and you need something else outside. So instead of wasting time, I want to encourage our athletes to get into some content creation, to build brands around themselves, their mindset, their personality. And if Palm City FC can be a big part of creating that legacy in the next generation of football media, that to me is really exciting.
That's an very interesting approach, and I think something that football players are getting more used to, and they're getting more their heads around, what's the strategy, what I can do more, but sometimes they lack the resources to do it.
Yeah.
So how are you planning to, in your ideal world, in 5 years' time, you are in the top UAE division, you're fighting to get into the Champions League, Asian Champions League, and you have some players that you think you can build or have the willingness to try to build their operating. How you see that ecosystem working? What resources you want to put or give the players to do that?
In an ideal world, how I see it, and our media team is very small right now. We still have to grow it, and this is in the coming years, but maximize the team level content, but then within our media team, organize days and intentions where we capture individual content for the players and actually feed that content to them for them to just be able to post. Now, setting up resources around that as well as something we want to tap into. For example, in Dubai, they've done a great initiative called the Creators HQ. And a lot of the leadership there, they're my close friends. And their goal is essentially increasing the creator economy. Now, we're the first in the football space to really give that attention. So for example, once we're at that level, what I would want to do is all the resources of the Creators HQ, which is backed by the Dubai media government, I would want to provide that as an asset to every single player. If they feel like that's something that they want to get into, they have that resource. And what does that resource look like? Education about content creation, workshops, getting to meet other creators, other influencers in the space. And of course, they're a professional football player first. But the way the world is going, just having one job and just being known as one thing is 40 years ago, that's 30 years ago. Now it's about being a hybrid person. And at the end of the day, even those people back then, if we saw them one way superficially, if you got to know them, they were a hybrid person. We're humans. We're so dynamic. And so I really hope that as time goes on, more and more football players, if they feel like it, it's not for everyone, they get into that content side because they have so much that they can share with the audience, with the community members that will bring them both entertainment and value at the same time.